Welcome back to Let's Talk Finances, and I am Dr. Nina White. Over the past several episodes, we've covered structure, behavior, systems, protection, investing, taxes, and business finances. Can you believe we are now at episode 9? Yes, we are at episode 9. So listen, like I tell you all every single week, get your pen and your pad, call your family and friends in the room, call somebody right now and tell them to turn on Let's Talk Finances with Dr. Nina White. We've talked about budgeting. We've talked about debt. We've talked about business leadership. And we have definitely talked about tax planning. But today it all ties together because the true difference between financial stress and financial confidence is not income. It's not your salary. It's not your business revenue. And it's definitely not your credit score. It's how you think about money. Know what I'm getting ready to talk about? That's right. We're talking about CFO thinking and how it transforms your financial life. And if you are watching live, thanks so much for watching. If you hit the replay, thanks again. And hey, if you really want to know about CFO thinking, lean in because this shift changes everything. So let's define in simple terms what CFO thinking is. It is a strategic mindset that focuses on 4 key parts. Y'all got your pen, right? Okay. Long-term outcomes, risk mitigation, resource allocation, and sustainability. Got that? Those key points? A CFO doesn't just ask, can we afford this? The questions that a CFO asks are, is this best use of our resources, the situation right now? What does this decision look like in 12 months from now? What's the opportunity cost? Got it? So now let's bring this home just on a personal level. I had a client, corporate executive, 6-figure income. On paper, he looked like a 6-figure income, right? Doing very well. But he called me stressed, completely stressed. Why? Because every bonus check disappeared within 3 months. He did trips, luxury purchases, family requests, and upgrades. Now listen, it's nothing bad, it's just unstructured. But I want you to know that when you get into a certain income, it's okay to help family and friends, but you got to make sure that you're taking care of you first and your needs, because if you start taking care of everybody else, it definitely will impact your financial structure. So we walked through the decisions, and I asked something simple. If you were a CFO of your own life, would you approve of these transactions? So think about that. In your own situation, The transactions that you have done, if you were a CFO, would those transactions have been done at that time? So asking him that kind of laughed, right? And paused just a little bit. Y'all remember me talking about that pause? He paused just for a second, like, and he said no. That was his answer. He said, I would not have done that if I was a CFO, right? So CFO thinking makes you step outside of emotions. Remember how I always was talking about reacting, right, with the emotions. We got to stop doing that. And CFOs don't do that. They don't do that. Instead, it's do I want this, right? That's the question. Do I want this? And you ask, does this move me closer to freedom? Right? That's powerful. The way you think about it as a CFO. Remember, it doesn't matter where you are income level. You can always think like a CFO. It's so important, and you got to change your mindset. You have to think about money differently. And that's why I'm sitting here and I'm telling you how imperative it is to be mindful of how you think about your numbers, okay? So here's another real life scenario. A couple came in debating whether to move into a larger home. They could afford the mortgage, but when they ran into projections and factoring in some key points, property taxes, maintenance, increased utilities, and reduced investment contributions, they realized that them purchasing this house would delay their retirement by 7 years. 7 years if they made this significant purchase. So the question, of course, it changed, right? It wasn't if they qualified for the home. It became aligned with their long-term vision. That's CFO thinking. They actually took the time to realize that them purchasing a home is going to put them out 7 years from retiring. They want to retire. So they had to strategically think about that decision, right? And how it would impact them. So now everything has changed. The course has changed. It's not a good idea to buy this house. It's not a good idea to move into something larger because I don't want to wait an additional 7 years to have to retire when I'm right here, right? So again, that is that CFO thinking. CFOs think in alignment, income, goals, risk, and time. You understand that? That's an alignment. A few weeks ago, I was talking about that alignment piece, right? Everything needs to be aligned. So everything must connect. Everything has to make sense, right? So when you apply the mindset personally, you stop living month to month, even if you earn well, right? Even if you're making a large amount of money, you start thinking differently. Again, everything I'm talking about ties back in because as you hear this, you're going to be like, wow, she mentioned that in another episode. So you start thinking like this, what's my 5-year plan? Remember me telling you all about that 3 to 5, 5 to 10, 15 to 20. Think about your plan, but budgeting out those things. What do you want to do? Where do you see yourself? CFO thinking, what is my 5-year plan? The next thing, what's my retirement number? What age do you want to retire? You need to plan your budget. You need to plan your goals and everything around how old do you want to be when you retire, right? And then the other thing is, what risk am I ignoring? Sometimes we are ignoring things. The red flags are there and we're not paying them any attention. So, what risk am I ignoring? What are you ignoring? What is it? What issue or whatever, what are you ignoring, right? And the other thing is, where am I leaking money, right? Where are you leaking it at? Is it in your expenses, travel and entertainment, right? Where is it at, right? Are you your taxes, tax liability? Are you doing everything? Are you maximizing on that? Where are you leaking money at, right? This mindset alone reduces financial anxiety. Remember, I was talking about that stress? You got good stress, bad stress, because now you're living intentionally, right? And you're not thrifting, you're not drifting off, right? So that is the thing. You want to make sure that you really, really take your time with your finances, right? As I keep telling you, get someone to help you, get a financial advisor, sit down and literally say, what am I doing? Where can I make changes at, right? Because sometimes you can use another set of eyes, right? I have people that look over things for me. So, because I might have missed it, right? So, it's the same thing. Have another set of eyes. Again, remember, have your family meeting. Sit down with your spouse, your significant other, and talk about this. How old do you want to be? Do you want to work to you 75? Or do you want to, in your 60s say, okay, I can sit down. I got this cushion, right? That's what you want to think about. So let's talk about the hard truth that most people operate reactively. Okay? They respond to bills. They respond to emergencies. They respond to financial pressure. Y'all already know what season we in. Tax season. I see it every tax season. People are just reacting. So you have to, really stop, pause, like I keep telling you all. So someone comes in and says, I didn't know how much I made or how much I owed, right? And so we're going through this. This is tax season. I didn't know I owed all of this. But when you look back, there were no estimated payments. I am a stickler for doing estimated payments because sometimes you're not paying in enough on your job and you're going to have to pay in some more and just do estimated payments. So people are literally freaking out because they're owing so much money when it comes to their taxes. No withholding adjustments. I'm just saying right here. They didn't make sure enough came out. Sit down with your payroll department, right? Go over your W-4s. Go over that, right? Go over your federal forms. Go over your state forms and make sure that you have enough coming out. Listen, some of you all may be now empty nesters. We can no longer claim the children on our tax return. You got to make adjustments. You have to make adjustments. I literally, listen, my daughter is now 20. That credit that I used to get before she was 17 years old, we no longer can get that, right? So you have to make adjustments. So therefore, estimated payments, reevaluating your federal and state withholdings, right? You want to make those changes. The other thing is people are not forecasting. They're not forecasting what the next year may look like or the year after. They're just stuck right here and they're living in today. They're living literally in today. They're not thinking about their future at all, right? A small business owner had a fantastic year. Revenue nearly doubled. Celebrating, yes, I did it. Upgraded the vehicle, expanded the office, took on higher monthly obligations. But guess what didn't happen? Didn't set aside enough taxes. So here comes April. And the tax bill is substantial, right? He wasn't irresponsible. He was unprepared, right? So it's again, you seeing the revenue increase. Yes, I double what I made last year. I'm able to take on this and take on that, right? CFO thinking would have said this: if revenue doubled, taxes likely increase significantly. So let's reverse that, right? That's the thing. Profit first, spend second. That order matters, right? It truly matters. Another one. Listen, you all know I love to give you all examples. We got another one. This on the personal side. Now, we just did that on the business side. Now it's the personal side. A family had absolutely no emergency funds. Y'all remember me talking about that, right? They got great income, beautiful home, beautiful cars, right? But when a medical issue arose, they relied on credit cards. Why? No buffer, right? Remember I said you need to have at least 3 months cushion saved away. They didn't have that because they felt like, hey, we got enough money, we can do anything. I'm going to tell you this. Yesterday in the office, I had a client that we handled their books for. Came in to bring their tax documents because we try to get our clients done before we receive the wave from other people, other clients coming in to get their taxes done. So I sent out all the text messages. Hey, it's tax time. We want to have you all done by a certain date. Go ahead and get your documents in. Comes into the office and says, I got married. So, congratulations. Yes, I had a baby. I said, what? I didn't know you had no baby. Okay. And then we're talking about the taxes, and he says, Can I write off the medical? I said, yeah. I said, you can put your medical. I said, you got medical if you're paying out of pocket. And he said, I paid for my wife's hospital, the delivery, no insurance, everything cash. I'm like, what? You absolutely better get those medical bills to us if you paid that out of pocket, because just imagine if he doesn't, right? I can just imagine off the top of my head, his taxes are going to be through the roof, right? Because I know the type of income he brings in. You're talking about maybe a $400,000 yearly, and doesn't pay taxes every month because he doesn't listen, or quarterly, he doesn't do that. So now we already know he gonna owe. He owes every single year, but now, I'm like, okay, so now we can do married filing jointly because, he got married. Now we got us a baby, so that might help us out just a tad bit. But the income that he has and all of this other stuff, he's definitely not prepared. And unfortunately, he's not thinking like a CFO, right? And I give the advice, but again, we can advise you. Now if you choose not to listen, that's a whole nother ball game. So you want to think like a CFO, right? So in this situation, the CFO should have said to themselves, before I upgrade, before I take this vacation, before I buy this luxury whatever, right? Build resilience. 3 to 6 months of expenses minimum. 3 to 6 months of expenses minimum. You want to have this because life is unpredictable, right? It's unpredictable. We don't know, right? Stability is built in advance. It's not during a crisis. That's why I keep emphasizing to you all. It's important. I'm telling you, go back the last few episodes, and I'm telling you how important it is to have some reserves, right? We never know. I use myself. Stroke. Wasn't prepared. I didn't know I was going to have a stroke. Come on. So, and I'm telling you my own person, I was not prepared, right? I had to pay for medical bills, and I wasn't expecting. That wasn't something that I thought about. Nina wasn't prepared. I'm telling you, everything I teach to my clients, this isn't just something I made up. I've done it myself, right? So now life is unpredictable, right? Stability is built in advance. Like I said, it not during a crisis. Most stress I see is caused by low income. It's caused by lack of anticipation. And when you anticipate, pressure decreases. We want to make sure we anticipate what's going to happen, right? So now we got that. Miss Nina done drilled all that into you all, right? I know y'all tired of hearing about it. It's okay. You're going to keep hearing about it until you get it. So now let's talk about wealth building, okay? CFO thinking supports investment strategy, tax efficiency, business growth, and legacy planning. Remember, business owners, listen, we're building a legacy. We're building something for our children's children's children, right? So they don't have to go through the things that we went through. This is what we're doing. So we're building that wealth for them. Individuals, same thing. You're building this for your grandchildren, your great grandchildren, what have you, for them, right? So they don't have to struggle. We want to be able to do this for our kids because let's just be real. Our grandparents, our great grandparents, they really wasn't thinking about this. They was trying to survive themselves. So here we come and they're trying to teach us about money and they don't even know how to teach us about money because they don't know, right? So here we are. So we want to talk about investing. So let's start talking about investing. Many professionals invest randomly, right? They open up accounts, they buy whatever's trending, and listen to social media tips, right? But CFO thinking asks, what is my risk tolerance? What is my timeline? And how does this investment fit my overall allocation? And what are the tax implications, right? Investing without strategy is gambling, but investing with structure is wealth building. Tax efficiency, right? That's another big one. It's tax season right now, at this very moment. And this is where CFO thinking becomes truly critical, right? Taxes should never be once a year conversation. That's why I stress about tax planning, right? You want to do this over the year, not wait till tax time, right? If you're waiting until filing season to think about taxes, you're already late. CFO thinking says, how do I minimize my liability legally? Am I structured properly? Am I maximizing my deductions? Should I adjust my withholdings? Business owners, should I consider becoming an S Corp status because you're an LLC? Are retirement contributions optimized? This is what CFO thinking does, right? I've seen clients save thousands of dollars, sometimes tens and tens of thousands, simply by planning earlier. It's very important that you do that. Tax strategy is not about avoiding taxes. It's not. It's literally a planning, right? It's about managing them intelligently. And if you need to prepare, reach out to M&D Accounting. We'd be glad to help you. So this is the time to get ahead, right? And not catch up. So let's talk about business growth really quickly. Business owners who apply CFO thinking don't just chase revenue, they analyze it. They analyze it by margin trends, cost structures, client concentration risk, cash reserves, and hiring timing. One thing you want to know about is employees get excited when their business is growing, right? But also we have to plan projections. And we realize that the cash flow could support comfortability. So listen, I just want you to know that with this being said, I want you to really focus in on your numbers, right? And so let me leave you with this. Financial confidence is not built overnight. It's built decision by decision. When you adopt CFO thinking, you pause before spending, forecast before committing, prepare before expanding, protect before celebrating. You stop reacting, you start leading. And whether you're a professional, entrepreneur, family leader, you are the CFO of your life. If you are ready to elevate your financial life with CFO strategy, M&D Accounting is here to help you, especially during this tax season. If you need a professional tax preparer for business or personal taxes or business, our experienced team will be happy to assist you. Just call our office directly at 1-877-839-7778, or you can email us at contactus@mdaccounting.org, or text us at 1-844-436-2788. Don't wait until the deadline creeps up on you. Let's build the structure and strategy now. I'm Dr. Nina White, and as always, thank you so much for tuning in to Let's Talk Finances.